Hello, everybody. Happy New Year and welcome back to Divulgence. Today I am joined by Azdean Elmoustaquim. How are you doing today, Azdean? Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year, Jordan. I really appreciate the invite, and I'm very fortunate and grateful to be a guest on your podcast today. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, and thank you so much for your time. So we're going to talk about Morocco. We're going to dive into Morocco today, essentially. But before we start getting into specifics, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with Destination Morocco?
Oh, sure. My name is Azdean Elmoustaquim, a co-founder of Destinations Morocco. We founded the company, me and my wife, Khadija, about 10 years ago, 2016. And the inspiration for creating the company is actually our son, Imran, and he's 10 years old because we travel quite a bit back and forth from Morocco. And as we get old, we know the country, we know our culture, but then we want him to know his roots and where he comes from. So that was the reason why we created the company, and it's been a lot of fun. So we basically plan trips for individuals, for small groups, large groups of people that are traveling to Morocco, and they cannot do it on their own. So they hire us, and we do it for them. Then we started the podcast back in 2021. We did some homework and research. Then we launched it in February 2022, and it's been going strong since then. And it's just the opportunities that came with it just beyond incredible, Jordan. So
what are some of your favorite experiences that you're able to share with people in Morocco? Whether it be something, historical stuff, whether it be some sort of physical activity or, an adventure or something like that. What are some of your favorites?
I don't have a specific favorite, but I do see that a lot of people, they have their own favorite. And like you said, some it could be just an art or architecture. Some it could be a cooking class or food tasting tour. Some it could be a hot air balloon or an adventure or trekking, or the desert. The desert is definitely it's up there. It's one of the most popular. Obviously, the experience and the camel ride and the quad ride and everything that comes with it, whether visiting a nomad family in the desert or visiting, Gnawa music group in the Khamliya village. It's incredible. So it's very different per person. And for me, just being there for them and with them, it adds to the excitement. It's completely different vibe, different feeling. And I love that, sharing it with the clients, it's beautiful. Personally, for me, I like Fes, and the thing with Fes is it's the oldest city, and also, just walking, in the downtown in the Medina Fes, it's about 9,000 streets, so you're guaranteed to get lost. So it's car-free region, so there's no cars, just walking, and then you pass by some shops. They just look very small, regular shops, but then you stop by and you see what they offer, what they do. It's just beyond incredible. And then the stories behind it, it's amazing. So yeah, definitely.
So Morocco, I'm looking into their main cities. So there's the famous Casablanca, which I would say was made famous by the 1940s movie. There's which it says that's kind of the economic center of Morocco. Is that
It is.
correct?
That is correct, Jordan. Yes, you're right. It is the hub, the economic hub of Morocco. It is the largest city, so it's pretty big, a little bit advanced compared to other cities in Morocco. Yeah.
And what kind of languages are spoken in Morocco? And am I incorrect in saying that Casablanca specifically has a lot of French there, or am I thinking of somewhere else?
No, you're right,
Okay.
because we were a French colony. So there's a lot of parts in Morocco that French is still strong, even though it's losing its grasp, if you would, in terms of languages. English is becoming a little bit more popular now. We used to study English in high school. Now they are starting it at the first grade.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's gonna make the next generations, they absolutely moving towards English speaking country versus a French speaking country. And then because we were a Spanish colony as well, and if you go to the north side of Morocco, Jordan, Spanish is very well spoken as well. So Casablanca French definitely is popular anywhere you go. People will speak to you in French. But also, just to answer the question that you have, the languages. There's so many languages in Morocco because it's a very small and diverse country as well. So the main language that we speak is actually is Darija, the Moroccan Darija, which is a dialect. It's some say that it's not a language, but it's just a dialect. But
Okay.
that's what we speak. So because if you compare us, for example, to Middle Eastern countries, we understand what they are saying, but they cannot understand what we are saying because they're speaking some kind of somewhat Arabic, and we speak the formal language, which is Arabic, and that gives us the chance to understand them. Even though the Arabic in most of the Middle Eastern countries are a little bit different accent, different letters and words and stuff, but it's still understandable to us. So yeah, that's the mother tongue, which is Darija. Then when you go and look at the different ethnicity in Morocco, you see the Amazigh people, the Berber people. There's maybe 4 or 5 different languages as well that are spoken in the north side, the south side, the mid side of Morocco. So there are quite few languages that are spoken in Morocco. And then when you look at the French, the Spanish, Italian, German, those are spoken as well. And if somebody is in the tourism industry, like in the Medina or shops, they probably they speak an average of 5 to 6 languages because they need to be able to attract customers and communicate to them and sell them their goods.
Absolutely. That's amazing. That's so interesting. So, um, do you, uh, part of your experiences, do you do language classes at all, or do you pretty much expect people to either know one or so languages and then you kind of provide support throughout the trip, or how do you guys do that?
That's a good question. Normally, we everybody literally in the tourism industry speaks English. So the drivers will
Okay.
speak English. The local guides will speak English. The national tour guides will speak English as well. The tour leaders will speak English. In a lot of restaurants, they'll have menus that are in French, Spanish, and English as well. So it doesn't matter what the clients or the travelers what language they speak. It's really easy to communicate, especially in major cities. If you're talking about the big cities, Casablanca, Rabat, Marrakesh, Fas, Tangier, and other cities. So the language is not an issue at all in Morocco.
Gotcha. Okay.
Then also the other thing, my apologies for the interruption.
No.
We
Do not
we
apologize. This is your show, my
we,
friend. You talk as much as
we
you want.
thank you. We did some classes, if you would, for Darija, for Darija
Okay.
non-speaking
And
travelers.
that's in Arabic, right?
Yeah,
That's a
that's yes,
form of
that's in,
Moroccan
yeah.
Arabic. Okay.
Yes, exactly, Moroccan Arabic. And we have about 102 parts, and we're still posting them on our social media, and also people they can find them on our YouTube channel. And it just gives you a few ideas, how to say this and versus that. If you go into the restaurant, how to say the menu, what to order, and stuff like that. And it's really, really helpful. Going through those Darija classes. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, just getting back to the main hubs and cities. So there's Casablanca, there's Rabat, which
That
is
is correct.
the capital, and that's kind of where that's where you would find maybe a lot of the government
That's right.
buildings. Is that?
That's right. That is correct, Jordan. You're absolutely right. Yes, Rabat is the capital city, and it's funny because when you're driving to Rabat, you can tell it is the capital city. It just has that vibe of of politicians and
That's
yeah,
that's cool. Just flipping through it, like even if you just Google Morocco and you flip through the photos that they show, a wide range of different atmospheres
yes,
for sure, right? Like as you can see in the map I have up here, you got a lot of the areas right close to the water, and then the other
yes,
hand is kind of inland. So you mentioned that. Okay, so that's the Sahara Desert right there.
yes,
Then, so
yeah,
you mentioned the desert, but so obviously you can offer a lot of different experiences
yes,
and atmospheres, right? I noticed that obviously uh, just north is you can see Portugal, Spain, through the Strait of Gibraltar. Do you
yes.
guys ever do boat trips over to Spain or Portugal or anything like that, or do you keep it strictly
We keep it. We
Morocco?
actually. That's a good question, Jordan. We keep it strictly to Morocco, and we do. We have a lot of people. They do Spain, southern Spain. Then they come to Morocco, and some they do Portugal. Then they come to Morocco. But we just take care of the Morocco part for them.
Gotcha. I noticed that Rabat is just like Casablanca. It's just right along the water almost. So
Yes.
it must be nice for the politicians when they
Yes.
got the seaside right there, right?
To
The
wash,
Atlantic Ocean.
wash their sins.
Yes, exactly, my friend.
Kidding.
Exactly. So aside from those two cities, there's kind of the historical cities you mentioned. How do you say it? Fes?
Yes,
Fes?
that is correct. Yes, Fez. The
Uh,
map. It's the map that I'm looking at. It's kind of cut in the middle, which it says Western Sahara. That's actually Morocco as well. It's Moroccan Sahara, but it doesn't show the whole Morocco. This is just part of it. But the one, I think the one with the on the top left, that's the one. That is correct. So this is the correct map, and you can see a little bit more into
oh,
details.
there we go. So
Yeah,
there's
even though it still says Western Sahara, but that's Morocco, Sahara. Yeah, that's Casablanca, which is the capital hub of Morocco, and then you have Rabat, which is the capital city of Morocco. Yes, perfect. Yes,
and then there's Marrakech,
Marrakesh.
Fes,
Yes,
and Meknes.
Meknes. Yes,
Um, and they're known as the imperial cities. Are those the
that
correct
is
three?
correct.
Okay.
That is correct. Actually, there's four. Fes
Oh,
was the first imperial city. Then Marrakesh became imperial city afterwards. Then Meknes became an imperial city, and Rabat is an imperial city and is still, the capital of the kingdom, which is the current dynasty, the Alawid dynasty. So those are the four imperial cities of Morocco. And also, just to give you a little bit more information, Jordan, when some people say, "Hey, I want to do the imperial tour," they mean they want to do the north side of Morocco tour. So which includes these major cities. Obviously, Casablanca can be included, then Rabat as well, and probably Tangier, maybe Chefchaouen and stuff like that. But yeah, so some people will refer to it as the imperial tour if they want to tour Morocco. So
okay. All
yeah.
right. I see. I see. So, what are some of the popular um, activities? You mentioned hot air balloon. That would be quite amazing.
Yes.
What are some of the more unique activities that you can do in Morocco?
And there's so many, and everything we do basically it's really custom made. If you look at the ocean, we have the Atlantic Ocean side. It's about 3,500 kilometers, and then we have the north side. Going west, we have the Mediterranean side. So there's opportunities for surfing for the beach lovers, ocean lovers. There's so much stuff to do. Surfing. Kayaking, all kind of things that you can think of, all the activities that you can do in the water. And there are so many popular destinations for that. Sawara comes on top. They also host quite a bit of international surfing events. Dakhla is the same, which is all the way kind of towards the bottom on the left-hand side, which is just incredible. Then you have Mir Lift, then you have Imswan, you have Agadir as well, which is close, a little bit closer to Essaouira. Yes, right here. Yeah, it's better, to show it on the map. Yeah, you can see Essaouira on the left, then you see Agadir. Yes, and in between them, there's Imswan, there's Taghazout as well. So in terms of surfing, there's a lot of opportunities to do that. Also, the late King Hassan II was really big on golf. So there's a lot of
Oh,
golf tournaments in Morocco. There's a lot of golf courses in Morocco, especially in Rabat, Casablanca, Marrakesh, and Fes. If you're a golf lover, we can definitely make that happen for you. And also, in terms of trekking, we can do just you can do mount climbing. You can do Toubkal is definitely one of the really popular destinations for people they want to climb mountains. Mountain Toubkal is the second largest. Tallest, I would say, in Africa after Kilimanjaro, and I think it's 4,600 something kilometers. So it's pretty high. So and also in terms of if you can do a Jewish heritage tour, you can do a Berber tour, you can do, Berber experiences. In terms of history, there's so much to do. It depends on the city and the things that you can do in that specific city.
What is do you know this, any, like, roughly the statistics when it comes to the Jewish population and Muslim populations?
I would say the country is about, I would say 98% Muslim. The Jewish population now, it's not as many as it used to be, because most of them, I would say, they have migrated back in the 60s. They went to
Right.
Israel, and then few came back after the borders were opened back in 2022. Actually, a lot of them came back, over 200,000 for visit, and they brought their kids, their grandkids. So it's really, really good to see that. So when you go, especially to Fas, you'll see the Jewish core. You go to Marrakesh, you'll see the Jewish core. Meknes, you'll see it as well. Titwan, Essaouira, but you still see their houses. They're still there. They just, nobody lives there, for most of them. So the population has dwindled quite a bit. I think probably less than 1% of the population is Jewish, and it depends again, because they are known for the families and family names. So I think still some in Fas, Meknes, anywhere you go, but not as many as they used to be.
Do you know if there's any what are the do you know what the relations are like between the two groups, just given what how Israel and other Middle Eastern countries seem to be at such a standstill at times
Yes.
in history?
Oh,
Does that affect the people in Morocco?
It actually does. It affects us in a way that you may not think of the way that it would, but it affects us in a kind of a different way. But the relationship between us and Israel has always been good. If you look at the Israeli government right now, there are four people in the prime ministers in the government that they are originally born in Morocco, Rabat and Meknes and Fas and so forth. Before that, the same thing. We don't have, we don't say Jewish, we don't say Muslim in Morocco, we just say Moroccans. That's how we don't have those labels
I love
like
that. I
in
love
the
that.
US. And the thing is, that's how we all grew up. And then when you come to the US and you see, the division, you see the labels, and then Middle East, we're not that way. And I think a lot of Middle Eastern countries, honestly, they don't like us, and that's one of the reasons, because the relationship that we have with our own Jewish people, Jewish Moroccans and Israel, the relationship has always been amazing throughout centuries for us. So we are mixed. You like it, you like it, you don't. It doesn't change anything. So, and that's something that I have always said. And even when the war started, between Gaza and Israel a couple of years ago, it has affected us quite a bit, because number one, Americans are vital to the tourism industry in Morocco. It's pretty big. Then us, most of our customers are Jewish. Especially from the US and Canada. That's number one, number two market. And that when that happened, it really, really hurt us. And then we still get some tours and customers. And when I talk to them, they're like, hey, we're Jewish, are we going to be okay? But then when they go, they feel just like nobody cares. Nobody look at us different. We're all the same. And then some of them actually, they never said anything, but then during the tour, they felt a little bit more comfortable. Then they'll tell the tour leader, say, hey, we didn't want to say anything at first, but we are Jewish, and it seems like everybody's peaceful and everybody's nice, and that's our culture. That's how we were brought up. It's not fake. It's real. That's what it is. So, and also when you look at the Moroccan culture, it's very mixed with the Jewish culture. The Jews were first inhabitants in Morocco with the Amazigh people, the indigenous people of Morocco, and it's been that way for a long time. Then Islam came to Morocco and so forth, and then we've had that relationship forever, and it's a beautiful relationship because we don't see each other any different than a human being. And I know a lot of people are not gonna like it, but hey, that's who we are. That's really really who we are. And it's funny because Muhammad V, when he was king, now the actual king is Muhammad VI. So during the World War II, Hitler sent his generals to Morocco and said, "Hey, I hear that you have some Jews here. We need to take them with us." And he said, "We don't have Jewish people here. We have Moroccan people. If you want to
Wow.
take them all.
You got to take
We
them
don't
all. Wow.
take the whole country if you want." So they just left, and they were just surprised with his comments. And also historically, when you look at the Jewish quarters, and they always have been protected by the Sultan, by the king. If you look at Fas, the Jewish quarter is across the street. Even during the Spanish Inquisition back in the 15th century, when the Jews and the Muslims were kicked out of southern Spain, they all went to Fez, they went to Chefchaouen in the Blue City, they went to North Morocco, and they all have been protected, since then with everything. They didn't have to switch their religion. They just lived, amongst everybody else, just peacefully. So, I'm very fortunate to say that we don't have that division back home. We don't see it, we don't feel it, and it's a beautiful thing. So that's how I was raised. That's how my parents were raised, my grandparents were raised. And also when you look at us, the Amazigh, the people, we are mixed. You go into some villages, there's a neighboring village where my family is from, and there's a synagogue. It goes back to the 8th century. If it tells you something, we have coexisted for a long, long time. And again, there's no difference between a Muslim guy or a Jewish guy in Morocco. We're all Moroccans. We don't have those labels. So
that's great. That's really wonderful to hear, actually, and I appreciate you connecting it to the to World War II and Hitler. That's a great story. It's a great story.
Thank you.
Before we start diving into Morocco some more, would you mind maybe sharing some of your history with the country? You were born there, correct? And then you moved.
Yes.
Maybe tell us a little bit about your journey and your experiences.
I was born and raised in Marrakesh. Some call it the Red City as well. I was born in 1972, and the neighborhood that we moved to in 1974, it's called Dawdiyat. It still exists. It used to be a new neighborhood, but now there's so many new places. Marrakesh has grown so much. It's just incredible. So, and I lived there, until I came to the US in 1995. But my parents, my family, they hail from a small village called Tilwet, and the outskirts of Ouarzazate. So Ouarzazate is the city. Then Tilwet is the region, if you would, or the neighborhood. In Tilwet, there's about 23, 26 different villages. One of them is my village, basically. And you can see it in the tour that we did back in 2023. That's when I filmed Ahwash, the Amazigh dance, the Berber dance, Ahwash. And we did, an Amazigh experience, lunch experience. That's all of that is my family. That's where I grew up, and it's a lot of fun. So I moved to the US in '95, and I've been here since. I lived in Houston all the time, and I do go back and forth. So again, when I left Morocco, just like any teenager or young adult, I just want to get out of the country. I never thought that I'll have the opportunity to come to the US. And when that happened, I mean, it's a shock in the most positive way. So obviously it's like really traveling to the future, Jordan. So it's been amazing. And then what the US did for me, it gave me so many opportunities. And one of those opportunities is to see Morocco in a different way, to fall in love with it again and again with different eyes and different emotions and different feelings. So I appreciate Morocco now more than I have ever done in my life. And I'm very grateful for that. So when I lived in it, I was colorblind. I didn't see anything important. I didn't see the art, the architecture, the culture. I didn't see none of that. I just wanted to leave. But then when I came to the US, you start to realize and mature, say, hey, it is a beautiful country, a lot of history, a lot of all kind of good things. So, and again, one of the opportunities that the US gave me is to share that love and for Morocco with the rest of the world, if you would, Jordan.
So since moving to the US, is there any? Can you talk about maybe things that you feel Morocco is being misunderstood about, from being from there and now being on kind of the another side of the world, and not only what might be misunderstood, but what important things do you think might be have been lost?
Oh, that's a really good question. Very heavy question. One of them is what we just talked about. The Jewish culture in Morocco, the Jewish people, the Jewish history in Morocco. It's very rich. Our food is 85% Jewish food. Our culture is mixed with the Jewish culture. So and people when they look at Morocco in that regards, they just say, hey, it's just another Middle Eastern country, but it's in North Africa versus Middle East, for example. So
Yes, yeah,
if you will.
it's
Uh,
crazy.
It is. So there's a massive difference between perception and reality for a lot of people. And then I have to say the media. The media plays a big role in those misunderstandings because they don't really show the accurate picture of Morocco or Moroccan people or the true culture of Morocco or the diversity of Morocco. When they talk about it, they just say something, literally negative or something not as positive, if you would. And I'll give you an example. For example, Jordan, we had the earthquake back in September 2023. I believe it was September 8th when it was a Friday when the earthquake hit, and it did a lot of damage. And it didn't hit in Marrakesh, but it hit in the mountains, in the outskirts of Marrakesh, especially in the Houd region. And there's a lot of damage. But the way that they show it, it just looks like the whole country is gone. It's completely gone. Underground and the rebel, which is not true. So yes, Marrakesh, there's few parts that were hit, but the majority it's like business as usual, and they keep showing those images and videos, and they just make it a lot worse than it actually is. And then we had the protests a few months ago last year, the Gen Z protests, which they lasted in Morocco 5 days, but then everything calmed down and everybody, the government, they realized that they need to act, and they did. And but then again, they're showing the worst of the worst. So it's just the media sometimes can really hurt a destination or a country in more ways that they can think. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that we have. Especially the United States or the media in the US, they're far. Europe is a little bit more familiar with Morocco versus the US. People, they do travel, but it's a small percentage. And then the media, they show all that stuff, and it's like, hey, I don't really want to feel like going to Africa or going to
Right.
Morocco.
Yeah.
And is it safe for me? I'm a solo traveler. What are they? Do they have cars? Do they have air conditioning? I don't really feel like traveling. In a camel from city to city. So there's a lot of misunderstandings about the country. Then, when we started the podcast, I do quite a bit of homework because I need to learn as well. And a lot of information that I have found, Jordan, on the media online, it's really, I would say, kind of fake,
Okay.
inaccurate, and that really motivated us to even create more positive content, more accurate content, honest content. We say, sometimes we say that the bad things because that's just the truth, but we also have to say the good thing because they're truth as well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Um, that's interesting. You talk about like the fake news. Can you speak to that a bit more? Like maybe do you have any specific examples that you could think of? Because I'm sure that now that you've lived in the States for so long, I live in Canada, but in North America in general, like the amount of misconception in news media is just amazing.
yeah.
It's quite out of control, especially in the United States. So what kind of things how does that affect? How have you seen that effect with Morocco?
I'll say it affects it in a way in terms of tourism. The
Right.
message does not encourage people to travel to a new destination. If you look at tourism, for example, I know the media is a little different in Canada than the US, but if you look at, for example, the US, a lot of travelers, they rather go to Mexico or the Caribbean. Everybody's talking,
Yeah.
we're gonna go to Cancun or Caribbean, Cancun, Caribbean, Cancun, Caribbean, versus somebody and say, hey, you know what? I want to go to Africa. I want to go to Egypt. I want to go to Tanzania. I want to do, the wildebeest migration. I want to go to South Africa. But it's very seldom that you see somebody wanting to go that far for an adventure when it's just a little bit cheaper probably and much easier just to go to Mexico or to the Caribbeans. So if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. What about tourism from the UK? I feel like maybe you'd get a lot of that. Is that
That is very true. If you look at tourism, for example, and you look at the regions globally, Europeans, I have said this many, many times, Europeans are more familiar with Morocco than I'm probably familiar with Morocco.
okay?
And again, because of the distance, in a couple hours, um, you can have an amazing day or weekend in Morocco versus in the US, it takes you, 16 hours, probably 2 days to get there and come back. So Europeans, they have the time, the beauty, and also when they have time off, they have a little bit more time off than people in the US and Canada, 1 week, 2 weeks versus a month or 2 months of vacation. So, and that really helps. So if you're in Europe, you can go to Marrakesh and just do one city, or can go to Fas or Tangier, just stay in one city for 2 days and have an amazing time. Versus the US, you can't really do that. You need at least an 8-day, 10-day trip to,
Yeah.
to to see a little bit of Morocco. So that's one of the challenges for sure, Jordan.
So what? Well, you just kind of answered it for me. So is that kind of maybe not the ideal, but would you recommend that being the minimum if you're going to set someone up with an experience and you're going to tell them the best way to do it? Would you say that's okay? If you're going to come all the way here, you should at least spend 8 to 10 days. And then like what is your between 8 and 10 days and what, like maybe 3 weeks or what are your thoughts?
I would. That's a really good question, Jordan. I would say 8 days. The reason why I say eight, because when you look at Morocco, we always have to split it into two. For example, they can either do the Imperial City tour, which we have talked about earlier, or
Right.
they can do the southern part of Morocco tour, which is the Atlas Mountains and then the desert Merzouga, because you don't want them to be just driving throughout the whole tour. You want them to
Yeah.
sit at a destination, enjoy it, and immerse themselves with the culture, with the locals. And 8 days really does justice, whether you're going to the north side of Morocco or the southern part of Morocco. And then when you say 10 days, 10 days is actually perfect because they can actually do a combination of both. So they'll get to see the whole country, the north side and the south side combined in 10 days.
10 days.
If
Okay. Wow.
yeah, if somebody have 10 days, that's amazing. They can really, really see quite a bit. And then a lot of people, we get this quite a bit. They say, hey, I have 5 days. And 5 days, there's literally, you can still do stuff, but it's kind of tight. But I always say, hey, if you have 5 days, just, if you come into Marrakesh, stay in Marrakesh and do
Right.
city tours. Every day you go to a different destination, the outskirts of Marrakesh, and have a different experience. And you stay at your other hotel all the time. And that's one of the best ways you can do it. If you're in Tangier, you can do that. If you're in Fas, you can do the same thing, and they do day tours. Marrakesh in the middle or the southern part of Morocco is perfect for it as well, because there's so much to see and do. But 5 days, you can still do the desert, but I would still not recommend it because it's just too much driving. Just do city, Marrakesh, and do day trips for that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, I know we talked about tourism a bit, but what about immigration and emigration? Do you see a lot of immigration? I mean, I'm sure you would see a lot of emigration, people going maybe to the States or Europe. But what about immigration? Do you see a lot of that, and from what countries?
Uh, Well, the immigration, I would say, started in Morocco back in, after the World War II, because we were a French colony, Jordan. We helped
Right.
France. We fought with them, and that's, again, it's the Moroccans and the Jewish Moroccans. We fought with France in the World War II, and we actually helped them. There was us in the front line. There's no French people in the front line, so it was us, and then the migration after the World War II, they came to North Africa. A lot, the French, the Belgium, Netherlands, but especially the French. They came because they were very short for labor, so they start taking people to France to rebuild, and that's this is very common. It's a common knowledge back home. So they've taken even some of my family members. They went, and now they are second and some are third generations, and they stayed there. So afterwards, so that's how it really started the immigration to Europe, and then the US. It's a little different story. Um, but now there's Moroccans everywhere, the Moroccan people everywhere. But then you can see the effect of it, especially during the summertime. All those people coming back to Morocco, especially from Europe, and because they have the summer vacation, which is 2 months, especially with the kids being in school. That's why it really gets very very busy during July and August, even though it's really hot. So yeah, the immigration, it's just I believe it's a really good thing because there's so many opportunities for Moroccans everywhere they go, and and we are good people. And then one thing that I really know and appreciate about Moroccans is anywhere they go, they really immerse themselves with that country, with that culture. You will not see a Moroccan outsider somewhere. They are really good in terms of fitting in with the society, which
Okay.
is amazing. So and then I had an opportunity in '98 when I went to see my family. I stopped in Paris with my uncle, and he took me to those houses where the immigrants lived. I was very segregated. It was really bad condition and everything that you can imagine. But it's just you know it's it's a different feeling. So seeing those conditions, that would they have lived and everything that they have gone through, rebuilding the country, and it's just it's mind blowing. So
That's interesting that you mentioned that, because I feel like uh, Canada and the United States, a lot of people seem to be coming to issue with people who immigrate, and they don't seem to want to be a part of the community. They don't want to. It's not so much about they don't want to conform, but they don't want to integrate, and they
yeah,
kind of want to just form their own societies and stuff. Which I mean is fine in a way, but I mean you'd think that you'd want to be a part of the country that you're coming to, right? In
absolutely.
some shape or form. Um, so that's a nice thing to hear about the people of Morocco, that
Thank you,
you know,
thank you.
they come here or wherever they immigrate to, and they want to be a part of the community, right? They want to integrate. They want to do something for the community. So that's really nice. That's really good.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um, can you maybe get into some of the historical complexities and cultural stories that have helped shape old Morocco and new Morocco? You can maybe start about uh, old Morocco first, and then maybe talk a little bit about how um, it's changed over the years.
That's a tough question. It really
It's a
is.
bit it's a bit general, but um, I mean you can obviously you have some historical knowledge of what it was like before the war. Maybe just talk about the differences of old Morocco and new Morocco. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I can talk about the Morocco that I lived, and obviously in 3 decades there's a lot of changes.
absolutely.
I lived there when the late King Hassan II was the king, and it was tight. politically very tight. There was freedom, but then everything was calculated in a way, and Morocco was not really open to foreigners or to other countries, even in terms of tourism. If you want to go and visit and explore those areas that we talked about, whether the Madrasat bin Yusuf in Marrakesh or in Fas, and you have to be invited. So a lot of people who got to do those things and got to see those things, they were invited by the king. So when the King Hassan II passed in 1999, and then Mohammed VI became the new king, there has been so many changes. And one of the biggest, and I'll speak in terms of tourism, one of the biggest changes that we have seen in Jordan is in the previous culture of Morocco, foreigners could not own anything in Morocco. You cannot buy
Oh,
land, you cannot buy store, you cannot own a store. And if you need to do that, then you have to have a 50% partnership with a local. So,
oh, see.
yes. So, but just look into that, just think about it. That is super difficult, super strict, super
Yep.
limiting in terms of opportunities. So when King Hassan II passed away, that's one of the first things that Muhammad VI did is changes, and he said now foreigners can own hotels, they can own properties, lands, anything that they want, and they have 100% ownership of it. And one of the first sectors that we have seen being affected of it in a good way for some, not the hotels so much, is tourism. Because at that time, if we go back into the 19th centuries, in Morocco, we lived in multi-gen families, multi-relative families, if you would. You'll see the grandparents, you see, they have four kids, and those, they have their own families and wives and kids. And so it's a pretty big family living in what we call riyads, which is an authentic Moroccan house. So those riyads, if you go into the Medina, you'll see, people, that's where they lived until, almost back in the 1990s. And people start to sell in them because the tourists, the foreigners, they showed interest in them in a way that the locals did not see. And again, just like you said, being in the other side of Morocco, being in the US, being in Canada, being in Europe, you see things a little different. So they saw them as B&B before A&B, B&B itself, if you would. So they said, hey, we can do this. We have our own people. We have our own group coming from France, especially France, Spain, Italy, and we send them to Morocco. We don't want to send them to hotels, but we can send them, and they can stay with us in our Riyadh, and we control the accommodation, and we can control the activities and so forth. So that was an explosion in terms of Riyadh sales, going from 30,000 to being sold in the millions of dollars. And then it did affect the hotels, if you would, because there's no system, no restrictions. Nobody's checking for many things. So the hotel industry suffered from it for quite some time. Now everybody's making, it's very common, very normal nowadays. And then you have the Airbnb nowadays in Morocco as well. But that's one of the biggest changes is, in terms of ownership, for the foreigners. The other change for me, as you can see it, I've been back and forth to Morocco probably 15, 16 times. And, without including the last 5 years, every time I go to Morocco, I see that the move or the change in Morocco is very slow. I just came back again, a week ago, and I just could not believe how fast things have changed in a year and a half since last time I've been there. So there's quite a bit of change, and it's going a lot faster than the norm, if you would, than I have experienced. So there's so many changes. Right now, Morocco is hosting the African Cup of Nations right now, and it's going to end, I believe, January 18 or so. And then they're gearing up for the World Cup that it's going to be co-hosted with Spain and Portugal. And the construction is already underway, and everything is just looking massive. It's just been incredible. So the Morocco is moving in a really, really fast pace in terms of tourism, and this is what we see. Then the other part that we don't see, which you have seen, you have showed on the map, which is the ocean side to the west, the Atlantic Ocean side of tourism in Morocco. That region, that's what it's going to be booming for the next 5 to 10 years. That's going to be the new Morocco, if you would. Now, you're going to see the old Morocco, like you said, but it's going to be the imperial cities, then the desert, then the new one is going to be, the ocean, the surfing, the golfing, all that stuff that it's being built at the moment, and it's going to be ready in 5 to 10 years. So massive changes for sure.
I did want to bring up the World Cup actually. So I think Morocco's qualified. I'm not big into soccer, but I think they qualified for the World Cup on about 7 occasions, give or take. Most recently 2018, 2022, and then they're going to be playing this year, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Yes.
And that's in the United States, right?
Yeah, it's going to be co-hosted between
LA?
the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Yes.
Okay, right. And then, did you say after that Morocco is co-hosting?
Yes, Morocco is co-host in 2030, and they automatically qualify because it's a host country, so which is good. And it's good that he mentioned soccer because soccer, the last one, the World Cup in 2022, has given a massive, massive, promotion and push for Morocco, to Morocco, and a lot of people start questioning and asking questions about Morocco. Where is Morocco? How can I go to Morocco? I want to
Exactly.
see Morocco. So it's again talking about the media, but this is one of the best things that ever happened to Morocco, in my opinion, in recent years, in terms of the media, Jordan. And I totally agree with you, 100%.
How are you a soccer fan?
Yes,
Football fan? Yeah. Or how is the Morocco team this year?
it's
What do
it's good.
you expect them to do?
Um, it's good. They just won the Arab Cup, which was hosted in Qatar, about a month ago. They played it with not the number one team, but a different team, because they wanted to keep the squad ready for the African Cup. The squad looks good. They're gonna play tomorrow against Tanzania, which is gonna be good. So I'm definitely gonna watch that game, even though they're all nerve wracking, if you would. So they
Yeah.
have a really good team. But the thing is, if you look at the team and the component and the players, and if you look at them, they're all Moroccans, immigrants. Again, you look at Hakimi,
Right.
born in Spain. Look at there's people from Netherlands, France. So many. Again, that's the beauty of immigration, and it's something that their families probably migrated to those countries, or forced to migrate, whatever the reason. Look at what came out of it. It's, and again, the love of the country. They still want to represent Morocco. I know, like Diaz could have played, for example, for Spain. Hakimi the same, probably. Yamin Yamal plays, he's Moroccan, but he plays for Spain. He could have chosen Morocco, but it's just it's immigration, just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then that's something that being in a foreign country really teaches us. Again, being in the US really brought me back closer, a lot closer to Morocco. So we have that pride in us. It doesn't matter where we live. We have that in all of us, if you would, Jordan. So the World Cup, it's a major event. So being part of it gives you tremendous amount of exposure, and hopefully people get to visit the destination because of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's nice to hear. So it'll be the last World Cup, I think, for Messi and Ronaldo.
Yes.
And Ronaldo. So who do you think is going to come out on top this year?
It's really, really difficult. I'm a huge Messi fan.
Yeah.
I love Rolando. CR7. The thing is, I don't think it's fair to choose one, and I don't want to choose
Yeah.
one.
It's
Because
tough,
we're
right?
very grateful to have seen them compete in such a high level for a long time. So before that, for me, it was Maradona. I mean, I grew up in Maradona era, in the World Cup back in Mexico in '86 and all that stuff. So, but for me, I'm really enjoying it because you see Messi have achieved everything that anybody can think of, and then he has one trophy is more than
Yeah.
clubs.
Right. Yeah.
And
It's
then
pretty amazing.
Rolando, it is incredible. Look at his what he has given to the game, to the sport,
Yeah.
and his discipline is just second to none. uh, Playing at 40 at that level is just beyond incredible, and those are absolutely my top two favorites right now. So I'll still watch them
Awesome.
until they are gone, and yeah. So
That's great. So you'll definitely enjoy it this year. So that's
oh,
great.
absolutely.
Um, why don't we talk a little bit about some of the pitfalls that new visitors and tourists might fall into? Why don't we start with some uh, scams? Um, obviously, that's something that you got to look out for wherever you go when you're a tourist. I mean, even if you're not a tourist, really, but obviously, tourists um, can fall prey to scammers. So, what kind of scams and tricks and stuff would you typically see in Morocco?
Oh, there's so many, Jordan. It's so funny. I say this because Moroccan people, they're very hospitable. They're very nice, and they smile at you, but you cannot tell behind that smile.
Right.
There's a little bit of a scam going on, and if you don't know what to do and what to say, you're gonna get hit with one of them. So there are scams in different cities, but I'll talk especially in Marrakesh, and I'll talk specifically about some that you say in the square, the Jam Al Square, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, I believe, since 1985. And the funny thing, everybody smiles at you. And the scams, they in Morocco specifically, none of them is meant to physically harm you. They just want to get to your pocket, to your
Yeah.
wallet. That's really the intent. So these are the most popular ones. The henna tattoo, the lady with the needle comes. Sometimes they'll come out. They'll be chasing you with that needle to spray it on your hand. And if you let it spray, then you have to pay. And sometimes you think it's a couple of dollars, but then she'll ask you for something more. So just stay away from it. If you want a henna experience, you can have it professionally done outside the square of Jamal Fina. And there's many places that you can book it on your own.
Right.
And it costs probably maybe $30, $40, depends. And it's nicely done because the product that those ladies at the square use, they're very harmful.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
and do they? Are you saying like they'll come up to you and they might start trying to just give you a tattoo right away without
Yes,
even?
yes, yes. I'll give you an example. I was in a tour last month, and we were in Casablanca. Doing the Hassan II Mosque. If you haven't had a chance to visit, I highly recommend it. It's a masterpiece in terms of architecture. The beauty is just beyond incredible. And we were about, I would say, maybe 25, 26 people in the tour. And then one of the ladies with the needle, she just came to one of the guests, the travelers, excuse me, and she just grabbed her hand. And luckily I was right next to her, and I said, oh, wait, what are you doing? She just wanted to put that henna on her and said, look, you can't do that. You didn't ask for permission. You see, she's with us, she doesn't need anything. If we want henna tattoo, this is not the right way to do it. It's a full experience with minty presentation, Moroccan cookies and all that stuff. This is not how
Oh,
we would do the henna experience. And 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 then the tourist was like, I didn't know what she was saying. And I said, well, if she put that thing on you, then you have to pay. And it was a hassle, honestly, because she did not want to leave the group. She just stood by and just looking for me to look somewhere else so she can go and jump somebody else. But
right.
at the end of the day, once we were inside the mosque, everything was fine. Yeah, just stay away from those, again, because the product that they use, it's really really harmful. The second one I would say is the monkey charmers or the snake charmers. Sometimes they'll come to you, they'll put that little monkey on your shoulder, or they'll say, hey, look at the snake. Or sometimes you just want to take pictures, and if you take picture, they definitely want you to pay.
Oh, like really?
Yes, yes,
Oh my God, that
yes.
jeez.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. So
Wow.
I mean, for me, going to the square, it's really an event, if you would, for so many reasons. And sometimes because that's how we grew up. And when we go to the square, I mean, we don't really go on a regular basics, but we go when there's, you know, an event, a celebration and stuff. So when we go to the square, when we see those gatherings, what we call halqa, it's a lot of fun. So for me, going back as a tourist, it brings back a lot of memories. Obviously, the people that I watched growing up are gone. It's all, everything is new. And now sometimes they have the Amazigh music playing, the Berber music playing, and it's I'm connected to it and I love it. And sometimes I go and I know they look at me, I look a little bit different, and they either invite you inside, and of course you're gonna pay, or sometimes I want to create a story, you know, or like a small, you know, a reel to post on social media, and they see you pull up your phone, then you gotta pay them. But I do pay them and I get my money's worth. So so to them, they probably scam me, but for me, I got something really valuable out of them. So you know, if you're gonna take a picture of somebody in the square, take it far away so they don't see you taking pictures of them. Otherwise, they'll come to you and say, "Hey, you took a picture, you didn't ask me, now you gotta pay me." So those are the small ones that you'll see in the square. Some of them you'll have you know, fake local guides, you know,
Oh,
or some you'll see, you go into the ATM machine and you'll see somebody with a badge. You know, they look at you, they know you're a tourist, and they'll ask you, "Hey, you know, I am, you know, I'm certified by the city. I'm here. I don't want to get any money out of you. The city pays me, but I just want to see if you need help with directions or this and that." And then they say, "Oh yeah, can you show me where it is?" And they can either take you the wrong way and do a scam called the wrong way scam, or they can just help you and be with you for maybe 20, 25 minutes or so, and they'll ask you, "Hey, I've been with you for a long time now, you know, just pay me before I go." So it's, you just have to watch for those things. You know, if you go in, I want to take pictures of the kids, just ask, you know, if it's okay. The same thing when you go to Fast, the Medina, the shops, you know, the spices, the colors, the, you know, the aroma and everything. Always ask a shop in a busy Medina if it's okay to take a picture. Otherwise, they'll say, "Hey, you know, pay me." If you're taking a picture of the general public and everybody's just walking, not a specific store, you're good. You don't need permission. But if you're taking a picture of somebody with, let's say, some specific art or something that they sell that it's kind of unique, and you want to take a picture of it, it's better just to say, "Hey, you know, is it okay?" And you know, in terms of pay, you know, I'm talking, you know, $2 USD, you know, maximum $5, and then you can take all the pictures you want and stuff like that. So that way you don't feel like you have been scammed, but in you explain it to yourself, "Hey, I'm helping the community, I'm doing something good," and stuff like that.
right.
Then one of the other scams that I can think of, Jordan, is a restaurant scam. um, you know, sometimes when you go, not all the restaurants do it, but some do it, especially if they are in the middle of nowhere. You know, they have two menus. The first menu they'll present you, you'll pick something. Let's say, "Hey, you pick a salad that is $10," and say, "Hey, I'm gonna get this salad." But then when you get the bill, the salad shows, you know, it's $20. You know, just that's just one person. Can you imagine if there's 15 people with you or 20 people with you? Then it really adds up. So and
Absolutely.
then and then we'll say, "Hey, you know, that salad that I saw, I thought it was $10." I was like, "No, no, no, Mr. Jordan, give me just 1 second." They go and they grab a different menu where it says the salad with $20. So they have two different sets of menus. But
Oh,
you just have to pay attention. So a lot of those are really harmless. I mean, you have eaten the salad, you enjoyed it, it was a good experience, but then the afterwards, you know, it just yeah. So the other thing is, when you're shopping, when you're paying with a credit card, and even when you're negotiating, make sure you negotiate with the right currency, because in Morocco they accept all type of currencies. It can be the dirham, which is the local currency. It can be the Canadian dollar. It can be US dollar. It can be Australian dollar. So,
oh,
or the euros. So when somebody says 20 to you, they might
I don't know
mean
what that
20 dirhams.
means.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yes. So 20 dirhams, it's like $2. But if you pay and say, "Hey, $20," then you're really, really overpaid. So it's, you know, those things. And also when you pay with the credit card, make sure the credit card doesn't really leave your site, doesn't take it to the back. You know, he swipes it in front of you, or if he's going to the back, just go with him to see him. And sometimes they'll do it twice. Just be careful. So in
Uh,
terms of scams, there's so many, you know, from dangerous to just small, you know, and some of the common ones is the ones that, you know, they want you, for example, to go to the tanneries in Marrakesh or tanneries in Fes, and It's very difficult to get to them. And you ask somebody, and these scams normally they have at least 2 to 4 people involved. And basically what you end up, instead of them giving you the direction to the tanneries, you're going to end up in one of those bazaars. And once you go in, they're going to lock the door, and it's going to look dark and kind of scary. And then they start showing you the carpets,
Okay.
and you tell them, hey, I'm not interested. Then say, oh, you are interested. If you don't buy, you're not going to get out. So at the
Oh
end, it's,
wow.
yeah. So you really, really have to be very careful. With everything being said, Morocco is still a beautiful country. I'm not speaking against it, but those are just some of the truth. It's worth visiting. So
What about the classic, for example, like the taxi, where they have like different rates,
ah,
or they'll say, um, from here to a specific landmark is this much, but if
yes,
you're with 2 or 3 people, they won't tell you that it's per person or
that is
something like
correct.
that.
So the taxis are, I would say, they're some of the worst ones and the most common, because now in Morocco they have done something which is really good. For example, when you land at the airport, in the past, you have to go to the taxi line, and you can see you have to pick the first taxi in line.
Right. Yeah.
And the first taxi in line, the second and third and the fourth, they have an agreement between them. We're gonna charge Jordan $100. And if you go to the first taxi, they're gonna say, Jordan, it's gonna be $100. Then you go to the second, $100, even though it normally would cost you $10. So they'll team up against you until you're desperate. You just want to get to your hotel, and you finally pay the price. Now, what they have done is they have a kiosk outside the airport, and that's where you go and you pay. You pay for the fare, and it's just like you said. If you go into a specific neighborhood, they have a specific rate for that neighborhood. It'll say $7, it'll say $8 or $9 or $10, and you pay them. They give you a voucher, and you go straight to the first taxi in line. You present that voucher to them. They look at it. They know exactly where you're going, and you can just say, "Hey, they're gonna say which hotel you're going to," and you can say, "I'm going, for example, to the Four Seasons Hotel," and they know exactly what it is, and they'll take you, versus scamming you. So this has helped tremendously in terms of cutting down on airport fares, because I've been a victim of it, because nobody wants to pick me because I look like a local, and they want to pick foreigners because they can scam them easily. So
Right.
the other thing is, they'll say, hey, the mirror is broken. They'll say, you know, it's not working, because they want to overcharge you, or they'll say, hey, you can just pay me a flat rate between here and here. And again, it's overcharge you. And the other thing that you have mentioned, if there are 3 people getting in a taxi, they are the same party. It doesn't matter where they are going. It's the same rate for all of them. They don't have to pay $10 for each. No, it's $10 for the whole trip. So small taxis, the maximum capacity is 3 people that they can pick up. So the good news, they have on-demand apps in Morocco, which is a little bit tricky. They have InDrive, which works really good, and then they have Uber. It just came back to Morocco, and I think Uber is starting in Casablanca, and afterwards probably going to be in other major cities. But Uber is right now, it's just in Casablanca. So yes, there's so many scams that you can think of in Morocco, but just get, do your homework, do your research, and protect yourself. So yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, the henna tattoo one's interesting. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of markets and stuff. So is there, um, like for example, if someone's selling a bracelet, they'll say, "Oh, here's a gift," and they'll put it on your hand, and it's a gift, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, well, here, give, pay me, you should give me something." I'm sure that kind of stuff goes on too, and
That is correct, Jordan. Yes, and
pushing.
then in terms of Medina, a lot of people will be inviting you. Hey, come to my shop, and and they'll say, hey, I'll give you free mint tea. Just come, just sit. You don't need to buy. I just want to give you, a Moroccan mint tea. So they do that, and they give you the mint tea. They'll give you some, almonds, some, uh, Moroccan cookies and stuff. But then afterwards, they want you to buy
Yeah.
in return. So hey, and they'll push you. Um, and the other thing is, when you're walking in the Medina, everybody will start talking to you in different languages, because they want you to respond, so they can grab you even more. And this you can see this especially in the square. Even when you go and passing by the guys with the orange juice, stalls. They just sell
Yeah.
juices. They'll speak to you in Italian and Spanish and in English, and the moment that you say not interested, it's like, oh, Canadian, American, they just they go to phase two. So
Yes. Yes.
it's just amazing.
Yeah.
So
Um, does it often, or how often do you think it resorts to violence, or does it resort to violence? Like, I mean, I feel like it could, but maybe the tourists might get scared and just. I mean, as long as the person hasn't taken anything, right?
yeah, it's I think probably less than 1%.
Okay.
But the thing is, in Morocco we have tourism police. So and they look
Oh
like
wow,
civilians.
that's
Yeah,
good.
they look like civilians, and I mean I haven't seen it, but I've heard that it happened, a few times in the square. And the square, the Jam Al Fna Square is located next to the biggest police station in Marrakesh, and all of it is under surveillance. So the police, they know what's going on, they see what's going on. So if they hear somebody speaking loud or something, they know there's something going on. Within a minute or two, somebody will be at that specific stall or that specific food place. So it's very uncommon, but it does happen every now and then. Tourists being really overcharged, uh, but it's done, and people who do that, they don't understand what they're actually doing to themselves, because they could lose that license, and that license costs a lot of money. Uh,
Yeah,
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 so
yeah.
it's they're risking everything for few dollars. It's really really not worth it. So
Finally, what about um, drugs and prostitution in Morocco? What does that look like?
you don't see it, but it's there. Just like anywhere you travel, it's there.
Yeah.
But it's kind of invisible. If you don't
Okay.
know, you don't see it. If somebody
Okay.
doesn't mention it to you or say, hey, did you see, did you notice, you're not going to pay attention to it at all.
What kind of
um,
what kind of drugs is
I, I
are go around there?
I honestly,
Heroin
the
or
drugs, because if I live there, I'll probably have more accurate
yeah.
answers. But this is what I learned and what I heard. Me growing up, the drugs is what we call hashish,
Yeah.
which is that's the local drug, and normally it's mixed of herbs and things. It's very natural, the equivalent to marijuana in the US, but it's a little bit stronger, a better quality, if you would. And then in terms of alcohol, we make our own. We call it the water of life, mahya. And there's specific people who make it, that they sell it in different neighborhoods. And again, it's natural, and you can actually, in terms of Moroccan hashish, you can buy it legally in Amsterdam, and the water of life, you can find it in some stores here in the US, and in addition to other Moroccan wines and liquor. So
I
when I
thought
grew up, I'm sorry, say that again, Jordan.
no, sorry to interrupt, but I was just going to say I thought that Muslims couldn't drink alcohol.
Well, again, it's the media. That's what they want you to think. And the government said those things are for tourists, but the locals
Okay.
consume more of it than tourists. So
Okay.
everybody benefits. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
Jordan, I don't want to be deported.
No, I hear you, my friend.
I'm
I hear
joking.
you. Don't want to get you in trouble. No worries. No
So,
worries.
next to hashish, growing up, what you used to call kif. Kif, it's again,
Okay.
these are just, it's kind of certain type of weed that they mixed. It's very natural, but it gets you high a lot quicker than hashish. And again, those things legally you can find them, in Amsterdam. I hope I'm not saying negative things about Amsterdam. I'm not intending to, because in Morocco you can get in trouble, just talking about this stuff. So those are the ones that I grew up seeing people do and smoke. For me, I never tried it. It never did anything for me, because I was more into sports. But I had friends, neighbors who did them, and They really enjoy them. Nowadays, it's very different. If you would, Jordan, it's even the hashish is mixed with synthetics and oils and all different things that can really make you go kind of cuckoo, if you would. Then the artificial stuff that I hear that it's in schools, which is very surprising to me. Ecstasy and all type of drugs that are in the US now are back home, which I never thought that would be possible. But yes, drugs in Morocco, they are a major headache. They are a major problem. And it is affecting the kids, the communities, and the families. So even though I'm far from it, but I still hear about it. So again, growing up, we didn't have those. The issues that we had are very minimal when it came to drugs. But nowadays, it's just, I guess it's the world is becoming a small in terms of accessibility to those drugs for everybody.
What about addiction? Is that a problem?
I think addiction is definitely a problem anywhere drugs are. Morocco is no exception. Yes, you can be addicted to hashish. You can be addicted to alcohol, just like here. But in Morocco, the addiction is a little bit different. Again, because of at the end of the day, you're not gonna steal or do something that bad to go get you stuff. When you're addicted, you just hang out with people that smoke, and you want them to supply you with the smoke and just be with them when they are smoking. That way you have access to it if you cannot afford buying it on your own, basically.
Gotcha. Okay, Azdean, well, thank you so much for your time, my friend. Before I let you go, this was a wonderful conversation. Can you please let everyone know where they can find you, your podcast, your website, anything you'd like to share, please?
Absolutely. Jordan, I'm super grateful for this opportunity, and I really, really, really appreciate you having me as a guest on your amazing podcast. For the listeners, they can hear about us, about what we do in our podcast, which is Destination Morocco Podcast, and you can listen to it anywhere you get your podcast. And then our website, which is destinationsmorocco.com. That's destinations with an S, morocco.com. And throughout the website, you'll see the social media links that we have. You can, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, YouTube. So we have a really good online presence. So 2026, we're going to share a little bit more content than we have done in the past. It's going to look really, really nice.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again. Thank you to everyone in the audience. Thank you to all the viewers and listeners, everyone in the chat. Make sure to please subscribe to the Divulgence podcast on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We got a big year ahead of us, so Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year to you, Azdean, and thank you again so much for your time, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you.
All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you.